Okay, all of the fast track programs have agreed in principle. In fact, they've actually signed, which I'm going to go through that with you on the countries that have signed for it. And they're all going up on their rates except for one country, and that's, well, actually, it will be going up also too. And that's St. Lucia, but they just haven't signed on yet. But my advice is if you're thinking about getting a second passport with the donation option with St. Lucia, I would advise you not to do it because what's going to happen is they will lose their visa-free travel to the Schengen countries, and it will be a pretty defunct passport. They're all going to go up to at least 200,000. Okay, and this is on the donation option. You'll probably have other, type programs too. One thing that it sounds like they're really hitting on is on the donation option. As I've mentioned to you before, the best program out there, I've told people this over and over again, is the 25,000 government fee that they pretty much have left intact because you're buying a property with it. But the only government fee you pay for one person is 25,000 for the St. Kitts real estate option. They have not mentioned any changes on that. To me, that's less than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was around 35,000 for the primary, and it was around 15,000 for the spouse. Now it's like 25,000 for the primary, so it's cheaper than it was back then. It sounds like they're pretty much going to leave that alone. So, but anyway, I'm going to go through also with you on the visa-free travel, so you can kind of see the difference in these different countries before you make a decision. Dominica had the lowest at 137. Countries that were visa-free or visa-free on arrival, countries and territories. Grenada was the second worst at 145. St. Lucia was 148. Antigua was 150. And St. Kitts and Nevis had the most visa-free countries on the fast-track program in the Caribbean at 158. Now, what's happened is all of these countries have signed that they're going to have the increases. Now, St. Kitts has already had their increase, as you know. But now what's going to happen is the other countries now they're going to have to do this by June. I'll give you the exact dates. And you're probably going to see this happen probably really quick. Okay, they're going to have it by that date in June. But I think you're going to see it done way before that. How much time you have to get in before that time period, we still don't know that. Okay, I can let you know that as soon as I find out something. Probably tomorrow too, I'm going to give you some more notification on the EU requirements on this, and they're getting really, really strict. In fact, let me just tell you real quick before I go through this. The EU is also stated that if there's no economic benefit, in other words, where the client is, if he's only given money for the citizenship, in essence, and not moving to the country, not getting residency there, they're probably going to strip it sounds like they're going to, this came out actually last October. This wasn't recently on that part. This part just came out the 20th of March, just a few days ago. But more than likely what's going to happen is these citizenship by investment programs are probably going to have some sort of residency requirement you're going to have because the EU has made some sort of threats. And I'm going to go through that on another video, because I don't have time to go through that. But it sounds like if you don't establish some sort of residency, they're going to come in and try to strip the visa-free status. They weren't really particular in their stats on how they were going to do this. But anyway, I'll give you the situation on that on the next video. Okay, now let me go through this with you. This is the memorandum that came out of agreement between these 5 different countries that were in the fast track programs of the Caribbean. Were actually 4 of them signed on. St. Lucia did not sign on, okay? But I can tell you they'll be on here real quick or they'll lose that visa-free status to the EU countries. Now, remember, the UK is not part of the EU, so this is the EU that's threatening this. Remember, UK broke away from the EU. So, it doesn't mean that the UK won't come in and do the same thing, but I'm telling you, this is the EU that's doing this. Are now the member states of the Organization Eastern Caribbean States offering citizenship by investment programs. I'm going to abbreviate this, called the CBIPs, specifically identified by the signatures of their prime ministers, which appear they're appearing in front of me. I'm going to read them out to you so you'll see the ones that actually signed for this. Now, it went on to talk about here that whereas for the parties wish to establish terms and conditions under which they will cooperate and share information regarding their citizenship by investment programs, the CBIPs, as I mentioned to you before, which I'll be saying that throughout this, to enhance the integrity, security, and efficiency of these programs. Now, whereas the parties recognize the benefits and mutual assistance and cooperation in the vetting of applicants in order to ensure that only qualified and legitimate individuals are granted citizenship through investment. Now, they went on to say that the parties are committed to adhering to international standards and best practices in the management of the operation of the citizenship by investment programs. Now, they went on to say that the purpose and scope of this was that on the memorandum of an agreement, also called the MOA, is to provide a framework for cooperation and information sharing between the parties in relation to their citizenship by investment programs. Now, they used to keep this very confidential. Now it's not going to be so much anymore because they're going to have to share this with other governments that get involved. So, and you need to be really transparent on these citizenship applications because they're actually going to be doing a due diligence even after you get the passport. I don't know of any time they've ever done that before. Okay, so they're going to have there's actually about 4 due diligences before you get the actual citizenship, and now you're going to get another one even after you get the passport. So they have a window there. They can literally revoke your citizenship. So you need to be really open and transparent when these questions are asked on that citizenship by investment application. Now, they were talking about the exchange of practices, due diligence processes, and intelligence related to potential security or compliance risk. Now, this is the most important thing right here is the pricing. This is what you're really interested in. That's number 2 here. They're talking about the parties agree to increase and harmonize the minimum investment threshold of the citizenship by investment programs to an investment sum of $200,000 United States dollars no later than 30th of June 2024. So there's your date. Now, that's the latest date. You're going to see them probably come out and they're going to have deadlines that are going to be almost instant. Okay, I can't tell you because I haven't heard from and they don't state here, but I can tell you this is going to happen real quick. Okay, the parties agree that any subsequent changes in the minimum investment threshold should be made unanimously by the parties. The parties agree further that the minimum investment threshold shall represent the actual amount of funds received and applied towards the applicant's qualification under the citizenship by investment program, and not the gross amount of funds paid by an applicant from which deductions, including the payment of commissions, are made. Now, my interpretation with this, most people don't know this, but when you pay money to the government for citizenship by investment, the government turns around and they actually they take that money out of the money you're paying, and there's a commission that's actually paid for the CIU agent to do this. Okay. Now, the interpretation I see here sounds like that they're going to have to charge the commission on top of the 200. So it seems to me, and unless I'm reading this wrong, you're going to have to pay at least 200 plus whatever that commission is, which could be 10 to 20,000 US on top of that. Okay, depending on the country. So you can see the rates are going way up. Okay, and I don't see them coming back down. Okay, now the information sharing and transparency standards they're talking about here. The parties agree to share information on the citizenship by investment applications or the applicants, as was agreed at the meeting between the parties officials of their citizenship by investment programs and officials of the United States Treasury Department of Miami, Florida in October 2023, subject to the laws and regulations governing privacy and data protection in each jurisdiction. Now, this process is to be facilitated through the implementation of a digital portal accessible to authorized parties to be established at the Joint Regional Communications Center, The parties commit to provide the necessary financial resources to support the JRCC, which again is the Joint Regional Communications Center. We're using that abbreviation throughout here. And then they talk about here that the parties also agree to implement enhanced transparency measures such as the disclosure of funds received by the Citizenship by Investment programs and the use of proceeds of the Citizenship by Investment programs to their parliaments, and to conduct independent financial and operational audits to assess the Citizenship by Investment program's compliance with best practices standards. Now, let's look at number 4 on the regulations. The parties agreed to assign or establish a regional competent authority to set standards in accordance with international requirements and best practices and to regulate the programs. Now, this regional competent authority is to be established or identified no later than the 30th of June 2024. Now, number 5, they're talking about security screening and framework. Now, in addition to the Citizenship by Investment program commitments already agreed with the United States of America and implemented by the parties that include inter alia, these particular in what they're talking about is the agreement on common protocol on the finality of the denials, the conduct of interviews with applicants, the conduct of checks on applicants using the parties' financial intelligence units or equivalent state entities. And the parties also commit to implement procedures to conduct due diligence assessments of the Citizenship by Investment program citizens after they've been approved through the Citizenship by Investment programs, and cooperate with each other and their international partners to retrieve canceled passports of Citizenship by Investment citizens. Now, number 6, they're talking about regulations of agents in marketing promotion of programs. Now, the parties agreed to establish common standards to manage the communications and promotion of the Citizenship by Investment programs. Such standards shall prohibit marketing of Citizenship by Investment programs for the granting of the visa-free access and the use of photographs of parties' passports and advertisements. It looks like here they're going to be getting really, really strict on not just before you get the passport, but also after you get the passport too. So it doesn't just end when you get the passport. So you need to be really careful on this stuff. But the parties also commit to establishing common standards through statutory rules and orders for the regulation of agents operating in the Citizenship by Investment programs. Number 7 talks about joint training and capacity building. The parties agreed to facilitate joint training programs and capacity building initiatives for their respective officials and agencies involved in the administration of the Citizenship by Investment programs. This aims to enhance the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to effectively manage and secure the Citizenship by Investment programs consistently with the provisions of this agreement. Now, number 8, they're talking about dispute resolution. Any disputes arising out of or in connection with the MOA shall be amicably resolved through negotiation between the parties. Number 9 is talking about amendment and termination. This MOA may be amended or terminated by unanimous consent of the parties. A party may terminate to participate in the MOA by providing written notice to the other parties. Legal effect, they're talking about here that this MOA is a statement of intent and does not create legal obligations under international or domestic law. It does not constitute a legally binding agreement, and it's not enforceable in any court of law. Now, let me explain to you what my interpretation is of that part. Is these countries are signing this agreement, but they're not. It's not like they're going to be held, by some sort of court to do this. But I can tell you, they've already been told in this agreement back in, or this statement that was made by the EU back in October, that they're going to, if they don't engage in raising their rates up to at least the $200,000 limit, and my assumption is the Commission will be on top of that, they'll probably lose all of their visa-free travel to the EU countries, okay? And I don't see these countries, they're not going to take a chance on doing that. There's too many people in that are not interested in the Citizenship by Investment in their communities that don't want to lose that visa-free travel. They travel all these places, and they're going to put all kinds of pressure on the government. And I can tell you, St. Lucia will throw the towel in. They will be getting in too. I'll promise you that. They don't, they're going to have a wrecked passport. I can tell you that. And then it went on to say, in witness thereof, that the parties have executed a memorandum of agreement as the date of written. These are the parties here that have actually signed: Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston. I can't even read this. Anyway, the Prime Minister, Gaston Brown, they signed it really hard to read here, but he's the Prime Minister of Antigua, and he's agreed to this. He signed, this was all signed the 20th March 2024, just a few days ago. Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Scarrett, who's the Prime Minister there, he signed it the 20th March 2024. So these countries have committed, okay? And then you're looking at the Prime Minister of Grenada has signed, St. Kitts and Nevis have signed. All of these have signed, like I said, except for St. Lucia. That's the only one. But I can tell you, they're going to be signing too. Okay, real quicker, they're going to lose all their visa-free status to all these countries in the EU. If you want to know more on this, folks, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com. If you want to legally get your income taxes to zero, how to get a second passport as quick as 4 to 8 months. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen right here. You'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.